This is Fitness Blender's low impact cardio workout for beginners. In this workout, we're going to be starting off with a quick cardio warm-up, then we're going to go into our low impact cardio workout of 6 groups of 2 different exercises each. We're going to do each one of these groups for 35 seconds on and 10 seconds off, twice through per exercise. We're also going to be doing a nice cool down and stretch to end it off with. Now you don't need any equipment for this routine except for an optional exercise mat, so with that said, let's go ahead and get ready for our cardio warm-up. Now we're going to be doing each one of these positions for 25 seconds, and we're going to be starting off with a nice easy shoulder roll. And go ahead and start them up, make a nice big circle with those shoulders, drawing them up towards those ears and back behind you, drop them down and relax, and then reverse that direction, pulling up back behind you up to those ears, stretch them in front, and then letting them drop back down, straight down to your sides. Just keep alternating back and forth, trying to get as much range of motion out of those shoulders as you can each time. And just 5 seconds left till we switch off to that torso twist. And switch it. Arms come up in front of that chest, rotating those shoulders left to right. Try to keep those hips relatively straight forward. They can rotate a little bit, but try to mainly get that rotation coming only from that torso and not through those hips. Rotating those shoulders left to right as much as you possibly can, making sure you're keeping all those muscles nice and tensed. About 5 seconds till we move to just a regular march in place. And start up, get those feet moving. Now start with a really nice small range of motion. As you get further into this, start picking those knees up higher and higher. As long as you're comfortable with that, as long as you have control over those legs, you want to try to get as much range of motion out of those hips as you can. Just starting out nice and light, slowly building up as you go. Now we've got toe touch circles coming up next. Just under 5 seconds left until we switch over to those. And switch it. Reach down towards those toes, get a nice big circle off to the right, up off to the left, then back down to the left, up across the right. Just keep alternating back and forth, trying to get a nice big stretch down towards those hamstrings in the center every single time. Coming up off to the left and off to the right, alternating directions, pausing at the top, standing up straight. And we're going to switch off to lateral steps plus a swing on those arms. And start it up, swinging those arms back and forth across in front of your chest. Just a small step left to right. Make sure that every single time you swing those arms across in front, you have a different arm on top each time. So don't always bring your left arm on top or don't always bring your right arm on top. Even though your body's going to have a tendency to want to do that, make sure you always alternate. Let's go ahead and get ready for our last warm-up exercise, the slow butt kickers. And start up. Bring one heel up towards your butt as close as you possibly can. Get a nice tight squeeze on that hamstring, the back of that thigh. You can move relatively quickly as long as it's comfortable for you. Just move whatever pace is comfortable. Make sure you're getting as much of a squeeze on the hamstring as you can. Really trying to get that heel up as close to your butt as is possible. Got 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. All right, let's go ahead and get ready for our actual cardio workout. This is going to be, again, 6 groups of 2 different exercises, 35 seconds on, 10 seconds off, twice through per exercise, switching back and forth between 2 different exercises. Our first 2 are going to be a 4 side jack plus 4 punches and a 3 high knee march plus a forward kick. We're going to be starting off with that 4 side jack plus 4 punches. So stepping off to the side, doing that jumping jack motion with those arms. On that 4th one, you're going to pause, do 4 punches, and then start right back into it again. Make sure you're moving as quickly as you can control. Keep those arms nice and rigid. Keep those legs nice and rigid. Keep that shoulder contracted. Make sure you're moving as quickly as you can as long as it's comfortable for those joints. Now, when you're doing those punches, make sure those arms are really nice and contracted, pushing and pulling that arm out and back, contracting those core muscles, those abdominal muscles, obliques, and lower back nice and tight. Try and keep everything as solid as possible. All right, you got 10-second active rest. Now, you at least keep those feet moving, either walk in place, but preferably a jog or high knees. All right, let's get ready for that next one. 3 marches, 3 high knee marches, and a high kick. So on that 3rd one, you're going to kick that leg up really nice and high. Make sure you're alternating your feet every single time. So every single time you do that kick, you want a different leg coming up. Now the goal of this is to try to push yourself as hard as you possibly can. So try to get that knee up as high as is comfortable for you. The eventual goal is to get that knee up to at least hip height or higher if you can. When you do that kick, same thing goes. Just get that leg up there as high as is comfortable for you. Trying to always get it just a little bit more height each time you try. And go ahead and let that one relax. We're going to move on to that active rest again. Remember, either a jog in place or a walk in place, a high knee march, just to keep that heart rate up. We're doing our second round of the 4 side jacks and 4 punches. And 4 punches, nice and quick. Remember, keep everything really nice and solid through your entire body, just stepping off left to right as far as is comfortable, moving those arms as quickly as you can. Don't worry about keeping up with Kelly. You don't have to do the same pace she is. If you need to move a little bit slower, that's fine. If you can move faster than Kelly, that's fantastic. Just make sure that everything is really nice and controlled, that you never have any arms or legs out of control at any point through this exercise. Got about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Get that active rest coming in again, either jog in place or walking. We've got one more round of the 3 marches plus a high kick. And start up. Nice high knee march with one leg coming up. That opposite leg comes up the second time. Just keep alternating back and forth. Remember, like I said, bring those knees up as high as is comfortable for you, but the end goal is to at least hip height or higher if you can. And we're almost done. Just a few more seconds to go. Keep everything nice controlled. Bring those knees up as high as you can. And let it relax. All right, you got 15 seconds of active rest. Try to keep those feet moving. Our next 2 exercises are going to be a crunch plus a single leg drop and a push-up plus a lift. So if you need to, you can modify these to make them a little bit easier for you. So go ahead and start off with that crunch with a single leg drop. So laying flat on your back. You can get both those legs straight up over top of your hips, crunch up towards those toes, drop one leg, bring it back up, crunch again, and then drop that opposite leg. Just make sure you're alternating legs every single time after that crunch, making sure you're trying to crunch up as high towards those toes as you possibly can. Now, if you need to, you can bend that knee to drop that leg down, makes it a little bit easier, or just don't drop that leg as far, just to keep it under control. So you only want to drop that leg as low as you can go without letting that lower back lift up off the ground, letting those hips roll forward. So you want to make sure you keep those abs nice and tight the entire time, especially when you're doing that crunch up towards those toes, but also when you're dropping those legs. So let's go ahead and use that active rest to roll over onto that stomach to get ready for that next exercise, the push-up plus a lift. Be starting on those hands and knees, and start up. 1 push-up, then you'll lift an arm, another push-up, lift the opposite arm, push up again, lift a leg, push up again, and lift that opposite leg. Just keep that cycle going, starting over with those arms. You want to make sure that you're getting a nice clean form of this, keeping that back nice and flat, keeping those hips down. If you need to, you can always prop those hands up on something to increase that incline just a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier for that push-up if a regular half push-up is a little bit too hard for you. On the other hand, if a half push-up is too easy for you, you can always move into a full push-up to make it that much more difficult. All right, so let's move back to that crunch plus a single leg drop, laying flat on your back with those legs directly above those hips. And start up, crunch it, drop one leg, bring it back up, crunch again, and that opposite leg. So again, remember, if you need to make this a little bit easier, you can always bend those knees. It makes it a little bit easier to drop that leg, or just don't drop that leg as far. Same thing though goes for both. You always want to keep those abs contracted the entire time, whether you have those knees bent or those legs straight. Just keep those lungs open, focus on that form, try to do as clean of a form as you can every single repetition. We're almost done, just 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and switch back over onto that stomach, those hands and those knees for that push-up plus a lift. And start up. Nice flat back. Keep a straight line from knee to shoulder. Remember, every single time you do a push-up, you're going to lift either an arm or a leg, alternating through all those limbs. Just keep those lungs open. Don't hold your breath. Focus on trying to get a nice full range of motion. Remember, again, if you need it to be a little bit easier, just push up off of something a little bit higher, either like the base of a chair or the side of a bed. Just that extra incline makes it that much easier. 10 more seconds. Almost done. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and stand back up. We're going to do our active rest, so get those feet moving. We have an alternating step through and a side step plus a knee coming up next. So let's go ahead and get ready for that first exercise, that alternating step through. And start up. So step forward, then step back. Using the same leg to step forward and step back, and then alternate off to the other side, do the same exact motion on the other side. So you're kind of going into kind of a forward lunge just a little bit, or reaching forward with that front foot, and then you're going to use that same leg coming back behind you, kind of dropping down into a lunge or runner position. So as you do that motion, again, try to do as much of a range of motion as is comfortable for you, so you can actually go a little bit further than Kelly if it feels comfortable on those knees and those hips, and as long as you can control it. So just keep that motion going. You got 5 seconds left. Just keep alternating those feet back and forth. And active rest, so jog in place. Keep those feet moving, at least doing a walking in place. We're going to be doing that side step plus a knee next. And start up, step out nice and wide, pull that same leg up across in front of your body, back out again, stand up back straight with those feet together, then kick that opposite leg out, do the same thing on that opposite leg. So make sure you're getting a really nice wide step. The wider you go, the harder it's going to be, so if it's a little bit too hard for you, keep that step a little bit narrower. The more range of motion you push into it, the more difficult the exercise should become. So pick a range of motion that is going to be challenging for you, but you can still control with proper form. Just keep it going, keep those lungs open. You got 5 seconds left. And let it relax, go into that active rest. So jog in place, walk in place. We've got our next round of the alternating step throughs coming up next. And start up with one leg, step forward, then step back into that runner's lunge. Then do the same thing in that opposite leg. Just alternating back and forth. Now, if you want to make it harder, always either speed that motion up or increase that range of motion on those legs. The further you go, the harder it's going to be. Now, if you need to make it easier, just do the opposite. Slow the motion down and limit the range of motion. So just keep that motion going, keep those lungs open, pushing yourself as much as you can control, as much as is comfortable for you. And we're almost done. And let it relax. Good job. Get that active rest going. We have one more round left of that side step plus a knee. So go ahead and get ready for that. And start up. Nice wide step to the side. Pull that knee up and across. Same thing with the other side. Just keep alternating back and forth. Keep those obliques, those abdominal muscles, that lower back nice and contracted, all those core muscles, as well as all those muscles through your legs and those arms. Got 20 seconds left to go. Just keep those lungs open. Keep those legs moving. And we're almost done. Just 5 more seconds to go. Keep that motion going a little bit longer. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and get that active rest going. Get ready for our next 2 exercises, which is going to be a plank ankle tap and a reverse step lunge. So if you need to grab a mat, go ahead and grab one for that plank ankle tap. That's the first one we're going to be starting with. Just go ahead and drop down onto the ground, onto those knees and those elbows. Drop into that plank position, hips nice and low, and start it up. Reaching back, trying to touch that same ankle as hand, so that left hand to the left ankle, right hand to right ankle. Just alternating back and forth, keeping those hips nice and low. You can rotate them left to right just a little bit, but try to keep them as stationary as possible. Just keep those lungs open. Make sure all those muscles through your core, those legs, and those upper body muscles all stay contracted nice and tight. Just 10 more seconds to go. We're almost done. Just a few more seconds. And let it relax. Go and stand back up. Get into that active rest, that jog in place. Get ready for our next one, which is going to be a reverse step lunge. And start up. Step back. Drop down nice and low. Those hands come up over top of your head. Make sure those arms stay nice and contracted. When you drop down into that lunge, just go as low as you can control. The goal is to try to get that rear knee almost touching the ground. Now, if you don't have the strength to get down into that low position, that is perfectly fine. Just go as far as is comfortable for you, as far as you can control. So make sure that you're always trying to do a little bit better the next time you do this routine. But for right now, just do what is comfortable for you. Got 5 more seconds to go. Keep those lungs open, alternating those feet back and forth. And let it relax. Drop back down on the ground again. Up on those knees and elbows for that plank ankle tap. And start up. Go ahead and bring those hips up. Nice straight line from shoulder to knee. Reaching back, grabbing that same ankle as hand. So left hand to left ankle, right hand to right ankle. Just alternating back and forth, keeping all those muscles through your legs and your upper body nice and tight. Always keeping those lungs open. Don't hold your breath. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Now, if this motion is too difficult for you, you find it too hard to get that hand back there, just hold that plank position, or just hold that plank position, lifting those arms up just in front of you rather than trying to reach back behind you. We're almost done. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and stand back up. Get that active rest going. Jogging in place. We've got one more round of that reverse step lunge. And start up. Step back. Get that knee down as low as is comfortable. Get a nice long step. The longer step you take, the harder it's going to be. So if you need to make it easier, just take a little bit shorter step and don't drop down quite so far. You want to make it harder, do a nice long step and drop down really nice and low. Just keep all those muscles nice and tight. Keep those lungs open. We've got 15 seconds left. And we're almost done. And let it relax. Good job. All right, we're going to give you a little extra rest here. If you want a little bit more, just go ahead and hit pause. Otherwise, we'll be starting back in just a second. All right, let's go ahead and get ready for our next two exercises, which is going to be a double high knee push and a lateral step pull. So let's go ahead and get ready for that first exercise, the double high knee push. And start up. So bring one knee up twice. Every single time you bring that knee up, you're going to press those hands out away from you. So 2 times on each side with those legs. Those hands are constantly moving. Every time a knee comes up, both those hands come straight forward. So you want to make sure that not only are you trying to lift that knee as high as you can to really work those legs, but you also want to try to make sure that you are working against yourself with that push motion with your hands. So not only push out, but pull back in against yourself the entire time to make those muscles have to work harder. Got 5 seconds left until we're done. And let it relax. Good job. Going to that active rest. So jog in place or walk in place. We've got a lateral step pull next. And let's go ahead and start it up. Stepping through and behind your leg. Making sure you're getting a nice long full step with that leg as far as you can control, as far as it's comfortable for you. And at the same time, those arms are coming from in front of your chest all the way back behind you as far as you can control. Just make sure you're constantly working those arms against themselves. So as you push, you're also pulling. As you pull, you're also pushing, making sure those upper body muscles really have to work. Also, again, check those legs. Make sure you're contracting all the way through those legs, even though you might not be using every single muscle for these motions. Make sure those legs, those arms are nice and solid. And let it relax. Good job. Active rest. Jog in place. Going back to that double high knee push next. And start up. So 2 high knees, pushing those hands out every single time. Then do the same thing on the opposite side. Just alternate back and forth. Remember, keep those legs nice and tight. Driving that knee up as high as you possibly can. Keeping all those muscles through those arms nice and tight as well. Pushing and pulling against yourself as those arms go out and back in. Just keep that motion going. Keep those core muscles nice and tight. Those abs, obliques, and lower back all around that midsection. Just trying to keep all those muscles nice and tight so you get as much out of this exercise as you can. Just got 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Let's go back to that active rest. Let's get ready for that next exercise, the lateral step pulls. And start them up. Step back behind you. Nice long wide step. Those arms starting in front of your chest, stretching back behind you as you step behind as well. Making sure you keep those muscles in that chest, that back contracted constantly. Those arms are contracted constantly. Working against yourself as you push and pull those arms. Try to get a nice long wide step as far as is comfortable for you to control. Got 10 seconds left. Just keep those lungs open. Keep that motion going. We're almost done. And let it relax. Good job. 15 seconds active rest. Get ready for that next round, which is going to be a side lunge and reach and a 5 marches plus a reverse lift. So go ahead and get ready for that side lunge and reach. And start up. So stepping off to the side in that side lunge, come up to the center, hands go up above your head, then drop down to the other side. As you drop off to that side lunge, step out as wide as you can control and bend that outside leg, that leg you step with, as far as you can, dropping those hips down as low to the ground as you can, as low as is comfortable, and reaching down towards that foot as close as you can. So remember, just only go as far as you can control, as far as is comfortable for you on your joints and as your overall strength will allow. Got 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. Active rest. Get those feet moving, either march in place or jog in place. Now we've got 5 marches plus a reverse lift. And start up. So march in place, nice high knees. And that 5th one, that leg's going to come up back behind you. Just make sure every single time on that 5th step, that opposite leg goes up than the time before. Just make sure you're constantly alternating back and forth, focusing on that high knee motion, focusing on that march motion with those arms as well, contracting those shoulders, contracting those legs, working against yourself the entire time. Got 10 seconds left. Keep those lungs open, keep those core muscles contracted. 5 more seconds. And let it relax. Good job. Active rest again. Get those feet moving. Back to that side lunge plus a reach. And start up. Step off to the side. Nice low lunge. Those hands come up over top of your head when you come back to the center. Reaching down towards that foot every single time you drop out into that side lunge. Remember again, just try to push that range of motion as far as you can control, only to the point where it's comfortable for you. Got 15 seconds left. Just keep those lungs open. Keep all those muscles nice and tight. Almost done. And let it relax. Active rest. Get those feet moving. Get ready for that last round of that 5 march plus a reverse lift. And start up. High knees. That 5th one, that leg comes up back behind you. High knees again. And that opposite leg. Just keep alternating back and forth. Again, keep those muscles through those legs nice and tight, through those arms nice and tight, and through those core muscles. Pushing yourself as much as you possibly can for each one of these exercises. Just got 15 seconds left to go. Just keep those lungs open. Keep those arms and legs moving. We're almost done. And let it relax. Good job. All right, that was the end of our cardio routine, which means we're starting into our cool down and stretch. We're doing 20 seconds on each one of these motions. Let's go ahead and get started with our first one, which is going to be shoulder rolls again. So squeeze those shoulders up towards those ears, coming in front, up towards those ears, then squeeze them back and drop them, let them relax, then reverse that motion, squeeze them back behind you, up towards those ears, then squeeze them in front as you drop them back down. Just keep alternating back and forth. Make sure you're getting a nice big full circle on that shoulder as much as you can. Now we've got a couple seconds left till we switch to arm swings. Go ahead and switch it. Those arms cross in front of your chest, one arm over top of the other. Just make sure you're alternating every single time those arms come in front, a different arm is on top. Trying to get as much range of motion through those shoulders as you can. Make sure you're keeping those muscles tight. Don't just swing those arms back and forth. Got a few seconds till a toe touch stretch next. And start it. Drop straight down towards those toes. Hands down as close to the ground as you can. Keep those legs as straight as possible. Spreading those feet just a little bit wider helps you get a little bit closer to the ground. Also stretches just a slightly different part of that hamstring. Just keep breathing normally. We're going to switch off to a standing quad stretch next. One leg comes up back behind you. Grab that foot. Pull that heel to your butt as close as is comfortable. Stretch that knee back behind you as much as you can. Keep that chest straight up and down. Lean against a wall or the back of a chair or something like that for balance if you need it. Just going to switch sides. Same thing the other side. Pull that heel up to your butt as close as comfortable. Pull that knee back behind you as far as you can. Keep that chest straight up and down. You want to feel this in the front of that thigh and in through the front of that hip a little bit as well. Got a few seconds left till we move to a hamstring stretch. One leg out, stretching down towards that leg. This is going to stretch that hamstring in just a little bit different way than you do with that toe touch. So stretch down towards that foot, just one leg at a time. And go and switch sides. That opposite leg comes out. Keep that leg straight, stretching down towards that leg. Leaning forward as much as you can. Remember, you don't have to touch that toe. Just try to keep that leg straight. And you just want a little bit of that stretch to that hamstring. So as long as you're feeling that stretch, you're right where you need to be. And downward facing dog is our next one. So feet just about hip width apart. Walk those hands out. Push that chest back towards those feet. So you want to try to get a nice straight line from wrist to hip and hip to ankle, kind of making a triangle off the floor. Just press those heels down into the ground. Get a good stretch to your calf, through that hamstring, as well as through that chest, pressing that chest back towards those feet. We've got a cobra stretch next, flat out on the ground. Bring those hands back to the base of your rib cage, press into the floor, arch that chest up really nice and high as is comfortable. You might not be able to get those arms to completely lock out. Just go as high as is comfortable for you, and just hold it there, breathing normally. And go ahead and let that relax. Sit back into those heels for that child's pose. Stretch those hands out away from you. Try to let those glute muscles, those butt muscles, and those thighs relax as much as you can, sitting back on those heels. Let that lower back release. Slowly walking those hands out away from you as much as you can, stretching those shoulders and chest. Torso stretch next, so laying flat on your back. Bring one knee over top of the other leg, so that one leg's going to be out nice and straight. The other leg on top is going to be bent to a 90 degree or more. Stretching across to the side, rotating those hips as much as you can, but still trying to keep those shoulders flat against the ground. You should feel this all through that torso. And switch sides, same thing on the other side. Drop that knee off as far as is comfortable, only if you can keep those shoulders on the ground. Breathe normally. Hold it just a little bit longer. And slowly let it relax. We're going to move on to a full body stretch next. So legs out flat against the ground, facing up towards the ceiling. Those hands above your head, straight out flat against the ground as well. Pressing those hands and feet in opposite directions. Inhaling as you kind of arch that chest up, stretching those feet and hands apart. Then exhale as you kind of relax. And then inhale one more time, stretching those hands and feet apart. Really arch that chest up. And exhale, let it relax. Good job. That was our last one, which means this workout is complete. Good job.